Okay, good evening, students. Now, yesterday we discussed about some mathematical operators. I have already shared that recordings. If you want, you can study that. Where I have shared some past paper discussion also, so which is very important. Please go through that one. I have shared the recording and just study it. Now, in today's, I'm planning to complete history and selection. If you have the time, I'm planning to discuss about the functions also in Python. So let's come to the Python programming. Now we want to discuss about different predefined function. So one of the main function we have to use in Python is a print function. Print function is a function which will display the messages on the screen. So here, when I'm using this print function, you can see as in this example. So here you can see we have some variable assignments. Here we assign the values for this w is equal to 10, x equal to 15, y equal to 20, z equal to 25. That is one way to assign the values. And this one, just print the values. Remember, this print should be, as I mentioned yesterday, in Python, everything is simple letters except true, false, none, where it starts with capital letters. So this print function will display the values here. As shown here, this will display the values like this. Now SCP is a separation. So here you have to separate by comma. That's why here the output is separate by comma. Here separate by nothing. Here separate by colon. Here separate by dashes. Like that is a print function where you can output, display the values whatever you like. Now remember, when you have this n function, what happened? Where you can display the values in horizontally. Like here you can see when you say print A, B, C 3 times, what happened? They all come to the same line. Why? Because here we have the word end equals nothing. But if you just write print X, print Y, print Z, you can see they are coming the new line. But when you say end equals empty, the output will disappear in horizontally like this. Just understand the meaning of the end. In addition to that, we have other function called as the input function. So input function is to read the data on the keyboards. This is a built-in function in Python. So this will read the value when you write input, and this message will be displayed. Enter the value for x, and once you enter the value for this x, this value will be saved in this variable x actually. And the x will be equal to how much? 30. But keep in mind the value you get for the x is string, not the numerical value. It will be string. So always remember this inputs you get for the x through the input function will be string. It is not a numerical value. So just keep in mind input function, the value which is coming to the x will be a string, not the integer. But we have some conversion functions. The input value, if you want to convert an integer, you can use the int function. If you want to convert into float, you can use the function float. It is already a string. However, if you want to convert something to string, you can use the function str. If you want to convert it to boolean, you can use the function boolean. So this chr function is a function which is used to get the character for the ASCII value. Once you get the ASCII value, you can get the character. As in this example, when you give the 65, as here you can see, 65, here you can see you will get the answer as A. 65 means A. ORD is to get the ASCII value for the character. Now for the character A, you can see ASCII value is 65. Like these are some of the evaluation, some of the built-in function which is available in the Python. You need to use them when you are working with some programs. Therefore, you need to have some understanding about these functions. There are some built-in functions in the Python. You can see all of them should be in the capital letters. Now we want to discuss about the string. Remember, this is string. Either you can represent by single quotation like this, double quotation, or triple quotation for multiple lines like this. So normally we can use a single or double quotation, but remember, if you want to include the single quotation, where you have to have the double quotation should be used here. When you say double quotation here, in between you can have the single quotation. But if you have a double quotation, single quotation together, it doesn't work. It gives an error message. So then always keep in mind, if you want to include the single quotation, you need to use double quotation here and there. එතකොට මේ මතක තියාගන්න මොකද ටෙක්ස්ට් එකක ඔයාලන්ට සිංගල් කොටේෂන් එක දාගන්න ඕන නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඩබල් කොටේෂන් පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕන. ඩබල් කොටේෂන් සිංගල් කොටේෂන් දෙකම එකට දාන්න බෑ. then it gives an error message. Then there's a function called as a len. This will measure the length of the string. Now in this one you can see we have how many characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you get 11 characters here. So you can measure the length using the len function. It's a built-in function in the Python. You can measure the length. In strings, remember, you can add 2 or more strings. Like here in this example, you can see 2 strings are added. Then this is equal as string concatenation. You can add 2 or more strings together. At the same time, remember the strings can be multiplied by a number. Then that much of time that character will be repeated 4 times here. එතන මේකේ මතක තියාගන්න strings දෙකක් එකතු කරන්න පුළුවන්, දෙකක් හෝ වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් එකතු කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතකොට string එකක් හැදෙනවා. string එකකුයි number එකකින් ගුණ කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේ string එක ගුණ කරපු number එකට අදාළව repeat වෙනවා. Just keep in mind. Now this is one of the very important thing, the index number. Now once you save a string on a variable, now here you can see this string we saved in a variable. So in that case, you can assume we have an array and then we store these values in this array actually. So array is something like this. And first letter P will be stored here, and then Y is the next one, T is the next one, H is the next one, O is the next one, N is the next one. Then you have the index number to identify each. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Then you can see when you say S0, S0 means P. S1, S1 is Y. Remember this -1 means last one. So this will be the -1, this will be the -2, this will be the -3. Yeah, like you can come backward with the -1. So -1 is last one, -2 means one before last. So then you can see when you store the data in an array, start with 0, goes up to the last one. At the same time, last one is started with -1, -2, -2, like you can come into the other way. Then you can access to the values in the array using this index number. When you say 0, first one. When you say -1, the last one. Like just keep in mind the indexing of the array by strings. මතකයි strings වල තියෙන එක එක characters one by one access කරන්න පුළුවන් index number එක පාවිච්චි කරලා. එතකොට S0 කියලා කියන්නේ පළවෙනි character එක. ඒ විදිහට character by character access කරන්න පුළුවන් index number එකකින්. S-1 කියලා කියන්නේ අන්තිම එක. Then the slicing, or we can say sub string. Now we have a string. This is the one which is stored in the array like this. You can see this is the index number. In that case, you can see when you take the sub string S25. What is mean by S25? Start by 2, end by 4, not 5. That means start by 2, end by 4, not 5. That means CDE. So මත කියන මෙතන 5 කියලා කියන්නේ පස්වෙනි එක include නැතුව හතරවෙනි එකට යනකම් විතරයි. This one start by beginning goes up to the fourth one. That means 0 to 4. That means A, B, C, D, E. This means start by fifth one to last one. Start by fifth one means F onwards. This one. This one means minus 2 onwards. Minus 2 onward means this is minus 1, this is minus 2. The minus 2 onward means I and J. This is everything. Now this one means start by first one, goes up to the sixth one, increment by 2. Start by first one means B, increment by 2, 3, 3 plus 2, 5. Last one is 6. Therefore, it should be B, D, and F. This one. So this will give the data in the reverse order, minus 1. So just keep in mind the operation of this slicing. Then we have the method called as string. If you want to convert the data into a string, you can use str method. So a is a number which is integer. If you want to convert a string, you can use str function. And then x is a true. You can see you can convert a string using the str function. Then we have a function called as a strip method. Now this is also a very important method. Especially this is necessary when you're going to work with the file IO operations. So මේක අර අන්තිම පාඩම තියෙනවා file IO operations කියලා. ඒකදී අපි මේක පාවිච්චි කරන strip method එක split method එකයි. දැනට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මතක තියාගන්න මේකෙන් මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා. So strip method, what it does, if you want to remove spacing from the beginning and the end of the string, or any special character from the beginning and the end, you can use the strip method. So as shown this example, here I have a string where it starts with dots. So if I want to remove the dots from the beginning and the end, you can see s dot strip dot. Then if you remove the dots from the beginning and the end. And if I want to remove the dots from the beginning and end, you can use the dots here. You can see it removes the dots from the beginning and the end, but the dots in the middle will not be deleted. If I want to delete both dots and the star, you can write like this. And this will delete the dots and the star from the beginning and the end of the string, but not in the middle. The මතින් මේ strip කියන method එකකින් කරන්නේ අපිට දීලා තියෙන character එක strip කියන method එකේ දීලා තියෙන character එක ඉවත් කරන්න පුළුවන් මුලදී සහ අගින්. මෙතන dot එකනේ. මේ dot එක මේ string එකේ මුලින් සහ අගින් ඉවත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. That's the purpose of the strip method. මැදින් අයින් කරන්න බෑ. Then there's another important method called the split method. Remember, split method is to split the string or any data types into a list. So here you can see I have a string. In this case, I want to split based on the spacing. So then this is one, this is another one, this is another one. Like you can see, it is converted into 3 components. And create a list. Then you can access to each using the index number 0, 1, 2. In this case, I want to separate this by comma. In this case, you can see it is split into separate component based on the comma. So here you can specify how many splitting you need. So in this case, you split by spacing, but only from the first one. First one is here. From this point, it is split. But here you don't split. So that's the things you should know with these strings. Now, next most important part is a Python is control structure. It's a selection. This is very important when you're going to do with the programming. The selections are necessary when you have a choice. So in this case, like if you take this example with this diagram, once you come to a junction like here, at this point you have to have a selection. You have to have a kind of choice, whether you are going to take this path or this path. That you decide. So that is basically selection. In flowchart, selection is represented by this shape, diamond shape. So you have a condition. If the condition is true, take one path. If the condition is false, take another path. And we write the condition or the selection using the word if. Condition, if it is true, do this one. If it is false, do this one. So if you take very simple example for the selection flowchart, where we input the two numbers A and B. So we input the two numbers A and B. You compare A and B. If the condition is true, then you can say A is larger than B. If the condition is false, you can say B is larger than A. Like this is basically selection. Now we need to understand how you can do this programming. මතකන් මේ selection කියන එක හරිම ලේසි දෙයක්. ගොඩක් යාට ප්‍රශ්නවලදී අපිට ඔක පාවිච්චි කරන්න වෙනවා. තෝරා ගැනීමක්දී. Now in Python, remember how do you do this selection? You can use the word if. It is simple letters. And whatever the condition, after that colon should be used. So this is how you do that task. You have to use the word if. And what is the condition you want to test, and the colon. This colon is necessary. If you don't put the colon, it's wrong. So you have to use the colon. And then keep the indentations. Don't write it the same line, keep the indentation. Else, and again colon, keep the indentation. Don't write it the same line. මතක තියාගන්න if statement එක දාද්දී capital පාවිච්චි කරන්න එපා, simple ලකුණු. If condition එක colon එක එන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඊළඟ ලයින්ස් ටික එකටම if එකත් එක්ක ලියන්න එපා, මේව පන්නලා indentations තියලා ලියන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ else දාලා ආයෙත් colon indentations. If you don't keep the indentation, you get an error. මතක තියාගන්න indentations හරියටම තියෙන්න ඕනේ, එහෙම නැත්නම් වැරදි ඔයාලා programs වැඩ කරන්නේ. Now if you look at this selection, now here I have selection if. So we can write that here, if x1 larger than x2. If it is true, you want to check whether x1 larger than x3 like this. If it is true, you can say this one. If it is false, you can say this one. So if it is true, this is a max, others this is max. And else part of this one. That means this side. So then you check the condition x2 greater than x3. If that is the case, x2 is the largest, else x3 is the largest. Like very easily you can do this selection using the if, but make sure you are maintaining the proper indentations. මතක ගන්න මේ indentations හරියටම තියන්න. මේ if එකත් එක්ක else එක මෙතනින් සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ. මේ if එකත් else එක මෙතන සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ. මේක මේකත් එක්ක. එතන මේවා හරියටම indentations තියන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම ඇතුළට පන්නලා එහෙම නැත්නම් වැරදි. මේ indentations තියන්න නැතුව ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලිව්වොත් වැරදි. Program has an error. ඒතර මතක තියාගන්න indentations හරියටම තියන්න. So other thing is you should know else if. Else if you can write by one word ELIF. ELIF. ELIF is a one word. This represents the else if. Remember, when you are using this else if, you don't need to maintain the indentations. But if you are using the else if two words, you have to use the indentations. Now, if you look at this example, I am taking the two inputs N1 and N2 and just compare them. If they are equal, I just say N1 is equal to N2. Else, I just compare N1 and N2. In that case, if the N1 is larger than N2, you just say N1 is larger than N2. Else, you have to say N2 is larger than N1. Now you can see here, I have to maintain the proper indentations like here. Otherwise, it generates an error. But remember, in this place, instead of writing the else if together separately, you can write this one by one word ELIF. In that case, you can see you don't need to maintain indentation. You can write everything single line. මම හිතනවා ඔයගලන්ට තේරෙන්නේ නැති කියලා කිව්ව එක. ඒතර මෙතනදි වෙන්නේ else if එක වෙනුවට elif කියලා තනි වචනේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. මෙහෙම. දැන් මතක තියාගන්න එහෙම පාවිච්චි කරොත් indentations තියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ separately. දැන් මෙතනදී indentations තියන්න ඕනේ. if මේ condition එක ඊට පස්සේ else another condition another indentations. But that is not necessary when you say elif. You can write everything single indentations. ඒතර මතක තියාගන්න elif දාද්දී අර else if වචන දෙකක් ලියනකොට අවශ්‍ය වෙන indentation එක අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. පන්නලා ලියන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. This is the key thing you should know. This example. Now, the conditions you can write either greater than, equal, or equal, not equal. So those are the conditions you can use when you are writing these programs. And you can use the conditional operator and or not like. In this case, the first one is grade is greater than equal and grade is less than 90. And next one is score is larger than 1000 or time is larger than 20. Next one, if score is larger than 1000, not or time greater than 20. Like you can use the and or operators when you're working in this complex conditions. So, මේ conditions වලට logical operators ඔයගලන්ට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් and or not. Directly you can use it. So now if you are asked to write a simple program, now here you are given the flow chart. Now you ask you to write a simple program in the Python to make the selection. First it is start, input a number, and calculate the remainder is the modulus value. And if the modulus is remainder is given by the modulus is 0, then you can say it is a even number, others is odd number. So can you write the simple Python program? I just give you a few minutes. Quickly write the Python program for this. So how do you write this? First of all, you have to take the input. To get the input, you have to use the input function. Then use the modulus operator to get the remainder. Then use the if else to make the selection. Now remember in the Python, you have learned how to write a comment. The things you write after the hash is a comment. Now here you get the input, and this input should be converted to integer. That's why int function to convert in integer. Otherwise, input function always the values will be stored in the string. So මතන input function එකෙන් ගන්න values හැමතිස්සෙම string විදිහට එන්නේ. ඒක integer වලට හරවන්න තමයි int කියන function එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. Then remainder is given by this. N divided by 2 remainder. R is a remainder. If the R is 0, remainder is 0, that means even number. Else, it's odd number. So then easily you can write the Python program to decide whether the given input is odd number or even number. It's a very simple program. Okay, this one, nested selection. Selection inside selection. So how do you write the Python code for this one? Can you just try? So initially you have to get the three inputs A, B, C, and first of all compare A and B as given in the flow chart. Compare A and B. If that condition is true, compare A and C. Then you can decide A is largest, otherwise B is large, C is largest. If it is false, that means B is large. You compare B and C. If it is correct, you can say B is the largest, otherwise C is the largest. So like you can easily write the corresponding Python code. ඒතර flow chart එක දිහා බලාගෙන ඔයගලන්ට මේ Python programs ලියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. ගොඩක් past papers වල විදිහට තියෙනවා. ඒතර ඔයගොල්ලෝ අඳුර ගන්න ඕනේ මේක selection එකක්ද loop එකක්ද කියලා. This is selection actually. If it is yes, one path, no other path. If it is coming back to the condition, it's a rotation. Then you have to use the loops. So here we read the three numbers A, B, C. First we check whether A is larger than B. If it is true, compare the A is larger than C. If it is true, A is largest, otherwise C is largest. Now this is the else part for this if condition. And for this if condition, else part is here. Then if it is not true, we compare B and C. If the B is largest this, else C is larger this. Remember when you're using the else if, when you use the else if separately, you have to have the maintenance of the indentations properly. If you use a ELIF, that is not necessary. උදාහරණයක් else if කියලා දැම්මොත් indentations හරියටම තියාගන්න ඕනේ. E else if කියන එකට තනි වචනයක් දැම්මොත් ELIF කියලා එකම indentation එක තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. මේ වගේ separately indentations තියාගන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. Okay, this is one of the past application, the selection. So here we input the three values. Now they have mentioned A is equal to 20, B is equal to 27, C is equal to 18. So you compare. Now A is how much? 20. B is how much? 27. You check whether 20 larger than 27. No. No means you take this path. And you compare B and C. B is 27. C is 18. Condition is true. Then you take this path. Print B. B is how much? 27. So the output is 27. So basically that program will identify the largest value when you input the three numbers. Now for the corresponding program, you can see they have given the Python codes. Now we want to find out which Python code is equal to the given flowchart. Can you find the answer? I just give a few minutes. Now this one, how do you decide the answer? You can see first three lines are same in all large. Therefore, first three lines are okay. Now here you can see the first condition. First condition is this one, A greater than B. That is also correct in all. A greater than B, A greater than B, A greater than B, A greater than B. That is okay. If it is true, we go to the A greater than C. If it is true. So then you can see this is okay. A greater than C, A greater than C, A greater than C, A greater than C, A greater than C. That is also okay. And then if that condition is true, you can see here, if this condition is true, just say print A, otherwise print C. So you can see print A is there, print C is not there, therefore this is wrong. Print C is not there. Print A is there and C is there, that is okay. Print A is there and C is there. Now this is print C, this is wrong. This is print A and print C, that is okay. Then you can see the else part. So under the else part, you come to the B and C condition. So under the else part, so B and C condition okay. Else part B and C condition okay. Else part B and C condition okay. If it is true, print B. If it is true, print B, but other one is not there. So this is wrong. If it is true, print B, otherwise print C. This is wrong. If it is true, you print C. This is wrong. So therefore, answer is this one. So that way you can logically reason and then you get the answers easily. Okay, this one, now we want to find out which is the following code syntactically incorrect. Now you can see first one, if colon indentation, everything is okay, no issue. This one, if condition, if it is true, this else, and with indentation, this is okay, no issue. This one, if it is true, do this one, ELIF. ELIF is okay. If it is true, this, else this one. Now you can see here the indentation is same line. This is okay, no issue. This is if condition is true, this one, else if. Remember when you use the else if, you have to use the indentations properly. Not like here. Here you don't need to maintain the indentation. So මෙතනදී ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගන්න ELIF දාද්දී indentations ඕනේ එක දිගට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි else if කියලා වචන දෙකකින් දැම්මොත් indentations හරියට තියනවා. ඒතර මේකත් හරි. else if කියලා මෙහෙම එකට තියෙන එකක් නෑ. ඒක වැරදි. This wrong. This wrong because you have else if only ELIF. Not like this. This wrong. Then if you look at this one, now here we input the value 30. Input the value 30, then this is the 130 comes here, it is going to be integer. You check this 30 less than 40 years, condition is true. If it is true, this is okay. And check whether this line 30 less than 10, false. False again, you come to the else part. And check whether 30 less than 20, false. False means you come to this part. And result is 5. So then the output is this condition is, first condition is true, therefore result is 4. So the answer is print result. That is 4. Answer is 4. That's how we can decide the answer. And if you look at this question, now here the input is, what's the input? As given this question, input is this one, ABC, ABC. So basically you get the input and measure the length. Length is how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 characters are there. So these 6. Then you check whether 6 larger than 3. Yes, this is correct. Now you run this condition. This condition is true. If it is true, you just say result equals 2. Now it's a program. Therefore, you have to come to the, after you execute this line, you have to come to this line. You check whether 6 less than 6. No, false, you come to here. You check whether 6 greater than 6. No, false, you come to here and execute this. Result equals 5, print that. So the answer is 5. So this is how you should work with the selection in Python. Okay. This question, can you try? Okay, how do you decide the answer here? Now, you input the value. So input value is 100. This is 100. And then that will be input here. So it will be converted integer. Then you get as 100. Then n equal 100. You check whether 100 larger than 0. Yes, condition is true. M is equal is set. You come here, check the condition. 100 larger than 10. Condition is true. Then you put the 100 here. Is the 100 larger than 100? No. Come to the else part. And you check whether 100 is less than 50. No. Then you come to here. So then M becomes C. So therefore, answer is this one. Print M is C, this one. So that should be the answer. So that's basically the selection part. Then I want to discuss about the functions. Any questions up to now?